correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome back to the How We Roll Gaming podcast, everybody, where we try to help you out and discuss RPGs that we enjoy, give you some helpful tips and hints, and
We're doing that today? Great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're doing that today. Knock, knock. Tap, tap, tap. Is this thing on? Is this
it is.
We've got Robert's apartment on screen, but we don't have Robert.
But
so
crap. Sorry, I'm here. So
there he is.
May have forgotten that we were doing this. Sorry.
But so have you guys been since we last? I would say since we last saw each other, but that's been like 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Since we last recorded, how have you been?
Doing good. Well, preparing for Heist with a certain other GM, and then got a little bit of some birthday parties that I'm going to do tomorrow and this weekend. Gonna have fun there.
Right on. Nick, how about you?
The Alien community fans are eating or feasting because Alien Earth is now out on where it's available to you. The stream.
And so our friends on the Movie Defenders, they're doing an after show, and they posted, right when it was about to start Tuesday night. And partway through, during one of the commercial breaks, I posted and asked one of their co-hosts, Brev, who happens to be the GM who first ran the Alien RPG for both Nick and I at Gamer Nation Con a few years ago, asked him, "Hey, Brev, are you getting a lot of ideas for the RPG out of this too?" And he just replied back to me with, "I love this show."
Oh, that's a good sign.
And speaking of our friends at the Movie Defenders, I'm also getting prepared for my time
on Movie Defenders debut.
Yeah.
I had my latest Movie Defenders last weekend as we discussed Galaxy Quest and had a blast. And you are getting ready to
do a specific film.
Join them for the first time.
Let's not spoil it, but I am getting ready. And
Nick, they've posted on socials what the next episode's going to be.
And I'm very sure you've mentioned it once or 100 times.
Yes.
This is true,
so
but
Nick's fulfilling Donald's dream and bringing them Xanadu.
Yes, very much.
You know what? I wouldn't be opposed to that. I can talk about that.
Donald would love you forever if you did that. You would make Brev laugh hysterically, and Scott would politely bow out of the episode.
He just closed his camera and be like, bye.
No, he'd just set up the recording and let the two of them host, because they have hosting capabilities in Zencaster, which, not to get too inside baseball, Nick keeps forgetting to respond to the invitation to be a host for our Zencaster account.
I can do that? But cool.
I've sent you the request like 3 times, Nick.
Well, maybe the 4th time I'll do it. We're kind of playing it fast and loose today.
Yeah, we are. I haven't had a chance to dig much in the last couple of weeks into my my new RPG acquisitions, because I have been barreling through a year's worth of X-Men comics to prepare for the next episode of our sister podcast, Casual Nerdity, where the aforementioned Brev will be joining me and our friend Betsy to discuss the first year of the From the Ashes storyline soft relaunch of the Xbooks. So in the home stretch, I have a few, probably a dozen total issues of several series to go. So I will be done in plenty of time. But uh, enough about that. Enough about comics. This isn't the podcast where we talk about comics. This is a podcast where we talk about RPGs. So we've got a little business to get out of the way first, then we'll dive into the meat of our episode.
Yeah, so before we dive into our topic this time around, we want to point you to one of the other great shows on the D20 Radio Network.
On We Fix Games, Laura and Jerica take a look at games focusing on the storytelling aspect, but examining not only what makes them great, but what make them better too.
And they've been on quite a roll lately, and as we're recording this, their most recent episode takes a look at Little Miss Fortune. So check out We Fix Games wherever you get your podcasts. So,
yep, and I enjoy me a little
business-
bit of a story, so definitely watch them if you enjoy storytelling.
And I've
Yeah.
seen a bit of Little Miss Fortune. It's a beautifully animated game. Bit on the dark humor side, very fun looking.
right on. Well, this time around, excuse me, this time around we have a little bit of a freewheeling episode because it happens to all of us. So I just have one question.
Honey, where are my pants?
So
Oh, you.
as a GM, every once in a while we have to fly by the seat of our pants. In fact, going into another little clip that I have, recently online, I found a video that discusses the 6 stages of being a GM.
I am too anxious to even attempt this. I have a meticulously planned out world and an agenda for the day decided down to the second. The lore primer is in your email. I have a less defined world, but answers to questions I think you'll ask. But I have planned out multiple branching story paths. I have an overarching story concept and a bunch of random encounter tables. We'll feel it out as we play. I have a vague list of notes that will inspire me during the session and a loose story goal for the day. We'll see what happens. I forgot we were doing this and figured something out on the drive here. Let's roll some dice.
I feel personally attacked by that entire video.
I feel there were some parts that were more spot on than the others.
More than
I have been all 6 of those at some point in my GMing life.
I've been at least 2 or 3 of them within a single session.
Oh yeah,
I've gotten
Absolutely.
to 3 of them so far. Haven't gotten to the first one just yet.
You will be. You will be.
so sometimes whether you do have everything meticulously planned or you did forget all about the session and thought of something on the drive over there, at some point or another, even if you've meticulously planned, the players are going to zig when everything that you planned out for them meticulously was for them to zag.
Yes, they will.
That could be as simple as a missed combat encounter, a longer shopping trip, a whole new campaign based off of what's supposed to be a single adventure.
Where they say, everything's pointing us over there. Why don't we go over here, though? This place looks nicer.
What's that? That's a big, shiny, distracting thing over there. And you have to, in the words of Steve Winwood, roll with it, baby.
Yep. You just got to take the proverbial sheet and just go, okay.
Yep. You have to toss the cards over your shoulder, just like David Letterman used to the sound effect of breaking glass.
Or as they like to say, they're like, F it, we'll do it live.
Yep.
So everybody has their own different ways of winging it, of flying by the seat of your pants, and there's no real wrong way. Some people's way is just abject panic.
Yes.
And that is
And when
not
I
a
started
bad
out GMing, got a little bit there sometimes. I was like,
and
oh,
that is to say that's not a bad thing. Panic is natural. It's built into the human condition. And sometimes
Yeah,
that's when you find like the ideas that like we've all most of us have experienced that moment. It's like, oh no, it's a day before the paper's done. I have to
well,
do the paper tonight. And
it's
it's
like,
like
well, I'm not sleeping tonight.
and it's like,
yep. It's like there are times that you have every good intention of sitting down to at least make yourself some notes to guide the session, and life gets in the way,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you
but you know,
just don't have the time.
and you just have to pull everything you have and then put it together in front of them.
And for that matter, there are times that, so I mentioned this in our last episode, so I'm going to completely yank back the curtain here.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel very safe in doing this. Robert has made this a very safe place for me to say this, because he has said that not only is Walking Dead his favorite campaign of what we're playing currently, but the last session was his favorite session of the campaign.
Oh, honestly,
And
I'd say it's probably my favorite one as well.
Yes. It's the one where
so
you've died the most times.
Mm-hmm.
I sat down to plot out that session. I had set up in the previous session that, okay, there's this big festival where the characters, the party had been split in the session or two previous.
Hmm.
And there was going to be a big set piece festival that would allow them to come back together, even if only briefly, to compare notes before going back their separate ways.
Establish where everyone was because the major factor was we couldn't communicate.
Yeah. And
Right.
based on our characters' skills, we were like any apocalypse community, we were put where we would be most useful or advantageous to the powers that be.
And it
Right.
would make sense at a big festival that everyone's best attributes be used, and therefore would give that intersection.
Yes. And we were like, "Oh, hey, it's you again. How you doing?"
Well, I spent probably a good week trying to plot things out. And the more I thought about it, the more stuck I got, because the nature of the set piece, well, it's kind of hard to plot out because all of the characters have been split up and have been going through different experiences.
Like on paper, it makes
And
sense as to how they could potentially get together, but actually putting that into motion, the timing is what's likely. I was saying, what
yeah,
Yes.
well, that and it's a very narrative system.
Mhm.
So
It only works
a
if the
lot,
players work off it.
yeah, and a lot of where the story goes depends on where you as the players take it
And oh
and
boy,
steer
did
it.
we take it.
places,
So
many places.
ultimately, I sat back and I was like, well, there's only two things that for me have to happen this session. Number one is the festival, and that's accomplished by saying the festival is happening and you're all at the festival.
And like also be very upset if there wasn't the festival because that was brought up multiple times in the previous session.
Just
Right.
like real life. You say there's an event happening, you get all excited, and they're just like, "Yep, we got to cancel. Sorry."
The other thing that I knew had to happen was all of your first sighting of the Emperor of Las Vegas
Yep, had to
and
give the
his
speech.
speech.
Hmm.
That's what I wrote. I wrote the speech.
And it was a good speech. It was a good
It was
speech.
a really good speech.
I wrote the speech, and then I took that And my general notes for the campaign to the session, I set the stage by sending you to the festival, let you mingle a little bit, let
We
the
did
emperor
stuff.
come out, let the emperor come out and make his speech, and turned you loose in the setting.
Did some characters make choices that were like, oh, okay, okay.
Yes,
I even
when
even Daryl was like, there was a point where Daryl's like, thank you for giving me so much to work with.
yes,
Consequences of my own
because
actions occurred. And I was like, had no
and
problem with that because I was playing the character.
and so fortunately for some of the things, like we had two of the PCs decide to go to the Flamingo, which in our setting is run by the mob.
Yeah.
Let me rephrase that. In our setting is still run by the mob, just like real life. I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
No, just you whispered it a little.
Um,
Daryl, it's Las Vegas.
And what did they decide to do at
It's
this
the
place
mob.
run by
It's
dangerous
the mob.
gangsters?
well, it's not so much what they decided to do. Fortunately, because the Flamingo is one of the major factions that I had set up with the overall setting for the campaign, I already had stats for the two most prominent people at the Flamingo. I already had stats and background and personality. So I was able to just, hey, I have this that I've already made. Time to pivot and use it.
Again,
And it was fun.
that is a major factor of like, regardless of flying by the seat of your pants is a bit of a misnomer because as a GM, you have stuff somewhat prepared. Regardless of how much of it is, you're just putting what you can into play.
Yes, and that was the
It
portion called creating a framework can help because, like Daryl said, he'd already introduced the plays. He knew it was going to be some important to the setting, so he already had some people created, which is what I also like to
yeah,
try to do as well. I create a place, I have settings, so I'm like, okay, I've emphasized these portions of the area, so if they ever go there, I at least have one or two people I can have them interact with, if that happens.
definitely. I had already set up the major factions for all of you, and peeling back the curtain further than you two have seen so far, I have the leadership of all of the factions all set up already. So
Again, like
they're all set to go should you get into any of those factions.
Well, okay then.
it just so happened to be that this was a session that may not have been a planned. This is when you meet this faction, like going into say Whisper Base. I had a lot of NPCs already planned out and concepts, but because I already had them out, I was okay with you guys in the initial area of Whisper Base being kind of free reigns, just doing what you want, and then when you encountered things, you encountered them.
Well, and
Won't be the first
over the
time we
course
bring up
of
Whisper Base in this discussion because I think they'll go back to a glory story we had.
now, over the course of the next several hours at that last session of Walking Dead, the five of you sitting there at the table all made choices that I had to not only did I had to roll with and improvise, and I guess flying by the seat of your pants can be kind of a misnomer, but it's kind of like playing improv jazz.
Or in
Yeah.
a way, you're trying to get out the door, but your pants are around your ankles. You still need to pull them up.
Honey, where are my pants?
I'm pretty sure I've had this dream before.
I don't. Your dreams can stay in your head.
but the choices that the five of you at the table made gave me ideas to use for that session and as we go along. And without really giving anything away, there's going to be long lasting repercussions of the choices made.
No, I very
There's
much
already
believe that.
two big long lasting repercussions
Yeah,
in that two of the PCs died.
yeah, and then But it was a great scene because one of the PCs that went to do stuff with the flamingo, he was somewhat connected to my character, and my character just told him, "Okay, we're in this place. You need to calm down. Don't do anything rash." He comes to me, tells me what he did, and it's basically that meme where everyone's just going, and I'm just like, "What?
Well,
What?
and
I just told you this literally a day ago," and then I told him right after, "Okay, calm down. Don't do anything else. Just trust people."
The narrator comes
Didn't
on,
trust
and he
people.
did, and he did
and what was
trust
it?
people.
What was it that he did, Robert?
He made an upgraded version of the Walker strain.
Yes, he created living walkers.
Yes, and my character was just like, he was basically that other meme, just going, Chico.
And after that session, I had time to sit with that concept a little bit.
It's an
And
interesting one.
Did we get
and
everyone?
I don't know, did you? I
Probably
mean,
not. Knowing our luck,
I mean,
probably not.
Honestly,
is there
for once, my
another big piece of media that came out recently that might influence some of the things that I decide to play with this concept?
hmm
Daryl,
Maybe.
if you bring anything from aliens, I swear.
No, I think I
If
know
we
what
have
he's
to fight
talking
a
about.
xenomorph, I'm out.
No, that's. I called dibs already. But I was like, for
But
once, my death wasn't the shocking reveal of the
Well,
of
sort of
the
was the shocking reveal.
in
Your character
character.
was the one that was infected.
hmm
and on top of which, that was a big no-win scenario, that the choices that both you and the other player were making put you both in a situation where there wasn't much choice.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was someone else, there was an NPC who was looking over everything, that the other player was trying to keep their connection to you under wraps to help you out, but they had someone else saying, "Oh, well, you have this stuff here. Well,
Just do it.
test it on them over there."
I mean, it was a fast. Again, it really felt like even though it even though you've given us this peek behind the veil, I'd say that if say someone was watching the session, they might not have seen that it just happened naturally.
Yes, it would. And like I tell everyone, even during on this show, it was just one of those sessions where, in the Walking Dead thing, you could just, it was literally an episode. And when it ended, it was just like, yeah, that's a Walking Dead episode.
Yeah, well, and full
Like
disclosure, I did not have that concept of the living super walkers, the super strain, in mind when I walked in the door to run that session.
Oh, I believe
but
you. I
it,
did
it
not think that would happen either.
Everything that
came
the other
together.
player was doing, to try to buy time for other circumstances, it just all came together. And there was a moment that I was sitting there behind the screen that I said, "Oh, I know what I'm going to do with this."
Yes, and that's another good thing about improvising for a GM. Sometimes your players just do something to where you're just like, I like it. I can work with this.
That is
Or B, it's just, I was planning to go this way, but what you just said is a much better idea. I'm going to take that.
again, that is a part of it. It's like, as I always mention, like no matter how experienced a GM, it's just like they say about like going into a combat zone. The minute you enter in there, the plan falls apart once you make
No,
contact.
no
No,
plan
no
survives
plan
contact with the
survives.
enemies.
Yes, or the players.
Not that players are enemies, but
Especially our
That's
players.
why I made that distinction.
it's like you can't predict what they're going to do. You may have created this intricate sandbox, but guess what? Some of them are going to be like, I want to play with the anthill.
Yes, and in fact, I'll even ask you, Nick, because we just started a limited campaign where we're doing a heist. I won't reveal many details, but my character is a racer. He likes to drive cars, and part of the heist is we need to get entry there, so I need to run a race. Someone from an opposing crime lord approached me recently and offered me more money to maybe throw the race and get second place. So I just said, okay, I'm gonna roll a discipline check. Okay. And then I just had my players like, you told me to go slow. And I killed him. And I just got asked, did you expect that person to die?
Well,
I
did you?
know. In fact, that's going to have consequences.
I don't doubt it. But it's just like, yeah, my character doesn't like going slow. He's an adrenaline junkie. Don't tell him to
Especially
go slow.
considering that it is not to peek behind the veil, but it is based off of a written adventure for the ED's FFG Star Wars role playing game system. It has been adjusted with several different subplots and characters and motivations that I'm adding in. But in terms of like that character, yeah, that character was not supposed to die, so there's going to be consequences. But I'm allowing it because that's what your character would do.
Exactly.
And then that character
A healthy
was
way.
like, and that character was going there to try and bribe you, as they would have attempted anyways.
All to
You just
say,
reacted with a more direct answer than most players would.
yes. And just goes to show in any event, whether it's just one action or actions that build off on top of each other, you can never truly know what your players will do. But you can definitely choose how you respond to them.
I could
Because
have just
improv
easily
is,
said that this is bad, but it's like, no, this is a new opportunity, a new wrinkle in the plan.
yes, or in some cases, and I've been guilty of this when I started out, is that when they would zig, I would double down and try to railroad them back to the zag.
And that is a natural response because at the heart, GMs are storytellers, and we kind of have that grand vision of that, like how we want the story to go.
Yes, but
Yeah,
we also can't treat our players like an audience to the story. They're in the story and they help make the story. They're not just sitting there while we read a book out to them.
right. It's natural to try to get them back to the zag, and the easiest way to do that is if the zag isn't super dependent on a specific location or time frame. It's like, so they zig, you let them have their fun over there, and after they do that, then plop, what you had expected them to do or kind of wanted or hoped that they would do, however you want to put it, you just then put in their path after they have their little diversion.
Or sort of an amending how we talked about like the hook. It's like if they don't take the hook initially, just bait the hook a little bit later down the line.
Right. Or depending on the type of campaign that you're running, when that happens, like let's say they were being asked to rescue a child, or you save somebody. I won't go super dark, so we'll say they're being asked to save a farm from some invaders,
Yeah.
but they zig instead.
Yeah,
And
they're
like,
just like, well, what if I know, to save the farm, we'll burn it down.
or they don't even say that. They're like, well, to save the farm, let's go do this elaborate, convoluted thing and then go over to the farm. So you let them do the big, elaborate, convoluted thing. Then they go to the farm and the farm's in flames.
Yeah, sounds right.
There's
It is
consequences.
again like
Because what
some
one of the
some
big
would argue that it is railroading, but It isn't. It's showing consequences in a living world.
Yeah, consequences of
Yeah,
a living world and not punishing your players. It's just consequences. Like, I let you do that thing,
yeah,
but time still moves forward, and you took too long.
right, right. There's a piece of advice that I have seen many times, and sometimes I abide by it, sometimes I don't, sometimes it's just plain hard to. But you have your big bad who has their plan of what they want to do, and you have to remember, okay, what is going on with the big bad while the players are doing whatever they're doing. The big bad isn't just going to sit there reading a book, waiting for the players to catch up with the appropriate point in their plan to throw a monkey wrench into it.
Though that
They're
is a
going to
nice
keep.
Yeah,
image. I'm just thinking of an evil sorcerer while the party's doing thing, just going.
that
And
that's kind of
that
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 is
could
kind of
be
how some
fun.
that could be a fun in the more like lighthearted campaign. But like if you're playing like quote unquote there's like a serious D&D, but it's like quote
Exactly.
unquote super serious D&D. It's like yeah, the player characters beat the initial force of the bad guy. They know that the villain's there. They do that big pose in front of him, in front of his like scrying eye, and they're like, all right, we're gonna do like several shopping adventures and beach episodes. Um,
Yeah, there's a
the
couple of
bad guy is
example
the bad guy is still gonna be like making the plan. his
and
his
is still going to be
goal.
going forward with it. Now, a scene like that could work if part of the plan accounts for and relies on your heroes getting involved and being against their will, more or less, utilized as part of the plan.
Yes, it's the
So,
whole "you fool, you just furthered my plan."
but at the same time, there's always, we want to pull an example out of media. They always run the risk, if they're off doing a shopping thing or whatever, on their way to the big climax of walking into Ozymandias's base, for him to say, I did it 30 minutes ago.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yep, it's like
Yeah,
and
it's that
again,
role of storytelling. It's like your characters live in the world, but the world also lives around your characters. It's going to
and
go on even if they're not there.
depending on how the story goes, like you could have some more comedic beats, some dramatic beats. They can all be the same beat. Like a great example is using like the the Infinity Saga of the MCU. Thanos is constantly doing things in the background to get the Infinity Stones. We don't see him actually do a whole lot until Infinity War, but that's because he's put everything else in front of that.
Yeah, I still have no idea how he got the purple stone, but he just has it.
Well,
There
we're
was a
told.
deleted scene. There's a deleted scene idea that they
Deleted
had.
scene, but not an official scene.
Yeah, but the idea was like in the background, even to get to that point for him to get that stuff. He's been working in the background since before the first movies. It's like it all was building up to that. It's like they made when the it's sort of like if like okay, all the characters have been doing like little individual stuff. Now they have to take on a bigger threat, but that bigger threat's but they've been working for this. It behind the scenes, gathering stuff, gathering material, gathering forces, and now they're just going all out. And it's like makes it a much more terrifying foe. It's like, oh, I just thought that we stopped your little raid. It's like, yeah, that was just like a small part of my operation. My whole operation is this thing, and now I have
Yeah,
all this power.
it's like a spider web. Okay, you got this one strand, but it's connected to so much more stuff.
And
And
so
it's a good
in
way
that
of like,
respect,
yeah,
I was going to say, in that respect, that goes back to, yeah, you do have some preparation that you've made in the background for the overall campaign, but the session that you're sitting down to, you're walking in just saying, okay, let's see what these guys give me to play with.
Yep.
If there's like again like going back to the idea of the Infinity Saga, it's like no one expected like Avengers to be like the Tesseract is the Space Stone. Thor: The Dark World, that's the Reality Stone. That wasn't clarified until Guardians of the Galaxy. Like small disparate adventures could be like, oh, here's a point of interest. Here's a point of interest, but guess what? Those are important going later on into the
Yeah,
storyline,
it was building, 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 building until the big ones, Infinity War.
and so you can do that with sort of seat of your pants adventures. Like as you said, like here's the thing, especially with what you said with Walking Dead. It's like here's the thing I want to happen. This has to happen in this session, and that'll be important later on.
Yeah, or like for example, in the first session of Walking Dead, we had to go by the dam and we killed the people guarding it to get through. We don't know what's going to happen. I'm sure those people weren't alone. I'm sure they're part of a longer faction. They're probably not going to be happy with us if we ever meet them again. It's like, oh yeah, didn't you kill like 12 of our guys at the dam?
Oh, I know exactly what the guys out at Hoover Dam and Lake Mead are doing, especially after sitting down and having a nice long chat with my dad over the holidays, who lives in the Las Vegas area. we that has proven to be invaluable to me, and is one of the things that does let me kind of, you know, do improv jazz riffs in Walking Dead very effectively, in that I kind of know the area because we've been going there since I was 7 because I have family there. Well, my dad lives there now and has lived there for, you know, 20 years at this point, I believe.
And he's seen the aliens at Area 51.
No, that would be my uncle. That would be my uncle who lives there.
Okay, now
Who
I'm just
who
thinking of for Aliens Earth, are they going to use Area 51?
I don't think so.
I would kind of like it. It'd be cheesy, but it'd be fun.
A good callback.
But I sat down with my dad and I rolled out the campaign map that I had printed up of the area, and he just sat there looking at it, and he would point to different spots and say, well, here's this, which is this, and here's that. Oh, and a little bit of background and lore about this area over here. And I just sat there with my laptop with my notes document for the campaign open, just avidly taking notes. It's like, I can use that, and I can use that, and I can use that.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that not all improv comes from your players or yourself. Sometimes it's by third parties you know that you've just talked the campaign with. Maybe they shoot out some ideas and you're just like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. Or oh, that's an
Or
interesting thing. I could use that.
collaborative.
Or
Uh,
Oh yeah, the entire setup of the flamingo. I mean, I knew I wanted the flamingo to be the
yeah.
mob.
Well, obviously, it's
The
classic mob territory.
the entire setup of the former mayor being there in residence and his goals comes from my dad providing me background about the real former mayor of Las Vegas.
Oh yeah, like and then sometimes sometimes campaigns can be seat of your pants. Entire ideas. Like not to delve too much, but I've come up with a campaign with an individual in this group, in this room, technically room, where we just opened up a map and just talked, and things kind of just spiraled into an idea as like,
yeah, it was just the snowball on the hill that just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
but it's also what happens with players. Like, and I mentioned a classic, like glory story was them going to a planet for like a specific purpose, a woodlands planet where they need like take care of like some imperial resin that was being turned into explosives and stuff like that. And well, one thing turned into another, and they captured a Grand Admiral and a tank.
Well, and I think one thing to keep in mind is that there's a little bit, at least I know I have had this before. When I'm walking into a session with low or no pre-prep, a lot of times I feel guilty. I feel like I am shortchanging you as the players.
Yeah, I totally get that
That
feeling
I
too.
get, I've
that
had that feeling
owe
so many times.
you I owe you the experience of having actually put in the work to prepare something for you to enjoy and participate in, rather than me just sitting back and going, yeah, go wild and I'll figure crap out.
Yeah, I
I
100% get you. As you all know, when I'm a player, I'm a note taker. So it kind of translates over to when I'm a GM. I try to make my skeleton, my outline of what's going to happen.
you like
And
your tables.
because I feel like even though I'm going to Nick's house, I'm the host. I'm bringing everyone there. So I need them to have a good time. So I need to give them the best experience. And when they zig or when I just am on like brain freeze and I can't think of anything throughout the week while I'm prepping up for it, I'm just like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I'm going to go there with nothing and they're just not going to have any fun. I get that feeling.
Honestly, I'll admit I hide it a lot. I play up the persona, but like in truth, like if I don't have something well planned, or like even if I don't have like a good like battle map or something like that or in mind, or like good encounter, I am like shaking in my boots before you guys get there. I know that we're all friends. We all expect a little bit of like comfort with each other, but like every session, I am always like, oh, I need to deliver. I need to deliver 110%. I need to. It's like, do I know how to describe this? Do I know how to do that? It's like, not to make you guys feel bad, but every time you guys enter that door, before that, I am like affirmations in the mirror, just sort of like pumping myself up and also calling myself a fraud. And like, you need to do more. It's like, you can do more. It's like, ah.
Yeah, and I myself behind the curtain a little bit. When it's my time to host, I have my do have a prayer before I go there because I just want to be in the right mindset, the right arc. Just be like, okay, they're here for fun. They're here to enjoy. Don't let anything that's happening in your life bring the place down. Just go there, have fun with them, give them a good time, and just go get them.
And that's kind of the point of flying at the seat of your pants at times. Like, there's no such thing as like, yeah, there's some glossy like online YouTube stuff and like fancy online stuff, like, but I feel that they probably have the same like anxiety of like, I gotta deliver. But it's like, people are here there to have fun, and the minute you guys sit down and like I say, welcome to X and So game, it's like, that's when I get back into the real mindset. We're here to have fun.
And there are also times that you might end up flying by the seat of your pants despite having planned a session, because I it's happened relatively recently in my Rebel Yell campaign, in that I had everything all set to go to the next big set piece session where they were going to perform a big number. I had planned out that session, but just circumstances got in the way. I only had 2 of my 5 players show up.
That included
So
me,
you can't
so it's already a trouble.
so you can't really do that big set piece session that calls for all of the characters.
Yeah, or in my experience, definitely when I was doing matches of an Empire campaign, there would be times where I was like, okay, in this session, going to focus on the characters, specifically one of them. and we're gonna kind of flesh out their story, grow their character a little bit. I had one player who I won't name him, but we all know he likes to arbitrarily decide when he wants to show up for a session. He leans mostly on chronically not coming. So I remember there was a time I was preparing for a session. It's like, okay, this is literally his character's homeworld. His family's here, and I saw he was coming, but I literally messaged him a few times, like, dude, I'm serious, please. This is part of your character. This is your planet. We've built up to this. Please come. Luckily, he came that time. But if he hadn't come, I'd be like, oh, I built this entire place for him. Oh, what do I do now?
Oh, I
I
think
had that
me and
happen
Daryl
once.
have.
I had that happen once with the campaign that I was running from home, not from
Mhm.
Nick's. That I had to turn the two players who were showing up that day away because they didn't get my message quickly enough, and I had centered that session around one one of the other PCs who just wasn't feeling it that day and was not going to participate. And there was no way to rework it.
Yeah.
And I had to turn them away at the door. Like, I
Yeah.
am so sorry. So and so is sick today.
And that is to
And
say, like, sometimes flying at the seat of your pants is great, but there are limits. Like, if you have prepared for a specific situation, then you can risk it on certain cases if it's like the ideal scenario is not real, such as a missing main character or a missing or not having a full team. There is a risk to that. And sometimes the better choice of wisdom is to just say, yeah, I can't do it. It's not, I can't make it work
Yeah.
without
And
those characters. But that's not
yeah, I remember.
that's not a defeat. That is just acknowledging the fact that like that's how your story works.
Yeah, for example, it's like with your Whisper base, we had to reschedule like 3 times because
For the
Kyle
finale, I
couldn't
needed,
come or I couldn't come, and you were like, no, we need pretty much everyone for this finale. We cannot do it without everyone.
and it only worked when we. Yes, it was 2 months late, but damn, was it a damn good 2-part finale.
Glory story.
It
that
really was.
that that session that I only had 2 players show up for Rebel Yell, I did make it work. I just on the spot came up with a little side quest for those
There's,
2
there's now going to be
characters.
a part of the greater campaign.
Or I remember
And
when we were doing the well, blank on, but basically when you were doing a campaign version of the Kyle Katarn video game,
Yep.
Dark Forces, and I remember in one of the sessions, Jeff had pretty much helped us skip an entire session, and then one of the others, and then a new session came. Only Betsy and I showed up, and we didn't have enough for everyone, so we just sorted out. Hey Nick, that session we skipped. Why don't Betsy and I just play that?
Yep.
yeah, the one that I came up with for the 2 players ended up it does have a lasting consequence on the entire campaign because they ended up facing off against a character that I just made up on the fly, and because
It
of the
still fit
way they
in the
left
world
things.
that you made.
I'm sorry.
Fit in with the setting and the themes that you
Yeah,
made.
they now, because of the way they left things with that character, the whole band owes him, what is it, 20%?
20%.
Oh wow.
20% of their take of every gig for the next 5 years.
Hey Nick, were you in that session? Were you one of
Yes.
the 2 people? And was Betsy there?
No.
No, she was not.
She
Her
was not
manager
very.
character is gonna kill you.
Oh yeah,
Eventually. Oh,
She,
I'm on an incredibly short lease now. Probably an actual lease at some point.
yeah,
Not in the
she
fun
she
way.
has she has already had words. She
But
has had words.
but again, speaking on what you said, like yeah, that was during the COVID time, so only two of you were able to come back to the Dark Forces campaign for that one. So we did a sort of what I call the sort of alternate universe moment where you guys got to play through a little bit of of that that lost adventure.
At the end of the day, I think that the big thing is, yes, the ability to improv and riff like that when you have to. Everyone's going to have their own strengths and weaknesses in doing it. Some people are going to be horribly uncomfortable doing it and will choose not to. And that is absolutely fine. It's
Completely
absolutely
valid.
fine. Like Nick and I said a few minutes ago, to if you need to say, hey, you know what? It's just not happening this session. Let's do something else.
I can't work with you because it's true. Like it's a collaborative storytelling method, and sometimes you do need certain voices to. I have a lot of faith when Daryl is in a group because he can riff off of me a lot. But if I
Are you
just
saying that my high school years in theater class and having to learn to improv are actually having a semi-practical use?
yes, because
Yes,
I
yes,
feel
you
that
are.
like you could care because you could help riff off of like my less strong ideas, and if I will say that it's kind of a I know that if I have certain characters or players in that team, if I have enough of them, I could cobble together a session. But if there's something like important, I'll be like, I'll try to be as quick as possible. Say like, I need the whole team, or at least a specific amount of the team to make a story work.
Yes, and I'll be honest myself, when
Yeah.
I'm running campaigns, I like when Dante's a player because I can definitely riff with him. We have these good
Oh,
scenes,
yes.
and it's just
Oh,
like he gives me so much to work with that I didn't even think of. And
honestly,
I mean,
seeing
that
you and him in our legacy of the Force, like I could definitely see like if I needed to if I was like down for a session, you could run it with Dante in there. Yeah, he could
and
definitely help
I
with that.
mean, I didn't mention him by name. None of us mentioned him by name, but Dante is the player who opened up the box, gave me the gift
he
of
was
the
the
super
player.
strain walkers.
Yep, and he was the player my player kept talking to, kept trying to be like, "Hey, just calm down, stop, just
Yeah.
think for a minute." And every time it was just like, "You did this, oh, you did that," until the point where, spoiler
Not
alert,
to put him on the
at
spot,
the
but
end, my character just had to go just through his own confliction, through his own
yeah.
like ideals. He just went, "I'm sorry," and killed him.
And
Honestly, I will say like without putting him on the spot, like we should probably get Dante on one of these at some point.
absolutely,
Yeah, definitely. And once he
absolutely.
starts his one shot possible campaign,
Oh yeah,
maybe he can
that
come
sounds
on
interesting.
when
Oh,
he's not busy with school because he is PhDing right now, and we all know how much that takes out of anybody.
But the other thing too, along the lines of knowing the times that you just plain can't riff, because just like you guys, when I was running that limited Star Wars Les Miserables campaign, as we kept getting closer and closer to the barricade, anyone who's familiar with Les Miserables knows the significance of the barricade.
it's the big
And
moment.
and the barricade had to happen at some point, but everybody had to be there for the barricade because it's such a big moment. And
Yep.
so
Same
I
thing
did
with
have to keep
yeah
postponing the barricade,
to
but
make
it
sure
was
everyone's
worth
there.
postponing it to have everyone there. But at the same time, if you can't pull the plug or don't want to pull the plug on a session because for whatever reason you're going to have to riff and improv, don't feel, and we've already established that it will be hard to do this. It's hard for all three of us to do this. It's going to be hard for a lot of people to do this. Don't feel guilty about it. Don't feel like you're shortchanging the players. Because if you have a good group, GM and players, you have, I would say, an unspoken pact, but in most cases, if it's even if it starts unspoken, it becomes spoken just through conversation and discussion.
And they
But
kind of
you have
understand
a
it.
pact. You have a mutual understanding that we are going to work together and bounce off of one another. And there are going to be times, if everyone walks into an RPG session expecting everything to be written out like a pre-written adventure for a game, they have incorrect expectations.
Yeah, they're either
Well,
at a convention or have wrong expectations.
there are these things called novels that they could read.
And you're going to have to work off of one another. You're going to have to bounce off of one another. And there will be times that that GM is just taking what you're giving them in that session and running with it. Let them.
Yeah,
And
it's like
GMs, let your players give you those beats, those ideas to take and run with.
let
because
them
as we've
take your
shown with
story
our
and beat it up.
because as we've shown with our Walking Dead, sometimes through that you just run something beautiful and great, and just everyone has the greatest time.
And like
Yeah, one
I like I took the time, like I had players that like were waiting a long time for the end of Whisper Based. Not that they wanted it, but because I told them it was coming. And they gave their all, every single bit, like, and it was worth the fact that we did have to like separate part one and part two by about a month, because when they came back together it was a proper ending.
I think that, it's just, you have to get over that stigma. When I first started GMing back in high school,
Back when the
and
dinosaurs were alive. Joking,
yes,
joking.
there was no meteor that hit. That was all my graduating class's fault that killed off the dinosaurs. We're to blame. I was GMing the DC Heroes RPG. Well, I was co-GMing. There were two or three of us who would GM games, and then we also had player characters. But when I would GM, I sat down and I took the adventure modules that Mayfair Games had published off of the shelf, and I used those as the basis for writing and outlining my adventure. And I was expecting everything to go as written, and it doesn't. And then when years later, when I was one of the rotating GMs in the first Star Wars RPG campaign that I was part of, I didn't plan out as meticulously, but I still did that kind of thing. It wasn't until I started playing the FFG Star Wars system and the way it leans much more into the narrative than the crunch, because a lot of the older games relied much heavier on crunch,
Yeah.
on the mechanics, than the narrative. So I would have a hard time when I started GMing for the FFG system. At first, it just wasn't clicking for me until I learned to not plan as much.
That's
You know,
that's something that you always like. There are some amazing free versions out there, and we can definitely think about that in the future. But like, definitely like just as we talked about in homebrew, everything is like your version.
Exactly.
yeah,
So preparing for that is always a part of that. But there's definitely like there's core rule books. There's pre-written adventure modules. There's plenty of material to build off of. But it's like ultimately, once you sit down at the table, it's you and your players, and how much you prepared, and how they interact with what you prepared with, or how little you prepared with. It's still a collaborative storytelling vehicle.
I mean, heck, there are so many games that just rely on the entire thing being improv. Best example is whenever we go to the convention, Steve is probably running some type of version of Habit Brigade, where it's literally
Or even
one
even
sentence
more,
and you build off it.
or even more than that, everyone is John.
Everyone's
Yes,
John, yes, but
everyone's John.
I need to play a Havoc Brigade game. I next Game of Scott. I
Yes, you
need
do.
to be in one.
Yes, you do. Havoc Brigade is oh so much fun. I have the PDF downloaded. I can send it to you.
Oh no! I want to play it as a player because I think that's the optimal experience.
Yes, and maybe this time you won't continually break a shop's door because you just want to get that one hat, one belt, and
Well,
one boot.
there's not
But,
that same kind of thing in Havoc Brigade as there is in Everyone was
but
is
I
John.
wanted that
He
one
was
hat,
work
one
he
belt,
was
and one
working
boot.
the narrative. He was working the narrative to reach his simple goal over and over and
One
over
hat,
again to
one
score
belt,
points.
and one boot.
Mm-hmm. And he kept breaking that poor door.
But I have told GM Dave or put the idea in his ear that at the Lord of the Rings Gamer Nation Con, instead of everyone is John, he ran everyone is Gollum. Since next year is Star Trek themed, is it going to be everyone is Khan?
I like that. I like it.
I'm scared of what YouTube will do if that's the case.
Oh no! I need to get a 6-pack for that.
Well, all you can have is a 6-pack of soda, Nick, because there are minors present. Gamer Nation
Yes.
Con After Dark is no longer a thing.
Yes, so
Oh man!
you better behave, or maybe I'll just drive up to A&M and bring back some friendly squirrels.
Oh, that's a threat. That's a threat.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Are
That's
we
bullying.
bullying Nick?
Are we? Oh, I guess we are. Does that mean we're done?
I guess
I
that's
think that
all.
means we're about done.
We hit the thing.
But I was gonna mention, my use for pre-written adventures, but that sounds like a pretty good idea for our next episode.
I think it sounds great.
I think it makes for a nice companion piece with first talking about homebrew and now talking about improv to go on into talking about using pre-written adventures.
Because there's plenty to talk about them as jumping off points, running them, modifying them. In fact, we're actually going through one of them right
Using
now.
it to build a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure that there are pre-written adventures out there that feature many, many squirrels.
I know there's one that features all the raccoons. I'm sure one's not that far
Yes.
off.
You could
Raccoons
reskin those
have-
to be squirrels.
Yeah,
Raccoons have more honor.
Or dogs of Chernobyl can be squirrels of Chernobyl.
Or heckin' good doggos. Where you're
Yeah.
we can play heckin' good doggos, and Nick can be a heckin' good doggo tormented by a squirrel.
A big bad he could work with.
Yes. Oh, a squirrel who's had an energy drink.
Oh no, they'd be unstoppable.
The truth, because you've seen Over the Hedge, right?
Oh yeah, where everything just stops.
Where Hammy gets so buzzed that just time seems to stop. Barry Allen ain't got nothing on Hammy with an energy drink.
And that's why I say you shouldn't see the new Superman film. It's squirrel propaganda.
Yeah.
I remember you saying that was a great movie, Nick.
I saw it a second time and I cheered when he saved the squirrel.
Yeah, we warned Nick. You can't go after the squirrels anymore. Superman will just come and save them from you.
Yeah, Superman's got their back.
My I'm still waiting on my delivery of kryptonite tonight. Tonight
The
from
the
Lex
movie
Luthor.
established that all the kryptonite was gone.
Oh man,
Have we bullied Nick enough about squirrels now, Robert?
I think we've hit our quota.
All right. So then I will move on to the part where I say check out our website at howwerollgaming.com. And there you'll find information about our current campaigns, our podcast archive, and links to our merch store and all of our social media, our Facebook, our threads, our Blue Sky, our Twitter. Yes, I still call it Twitter and I refuse to call it X. But all of that good stuff you will find at howwerollgaming.com.
Yeah. You can also directly support the show through Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/howwerollgaming, and you'll see our different membership tiers starting at just $2 a month, with special recognition on our Discord server, and higher tiers giving you on-air credit and discounts on said merch store.
finally, if you have any questions you'd like us to answer, topics you'd like us to cover, or even submit your own RPG glory stories, or the fact that squirrels are really bad and they don't deserve to be supported by Superman, but shoot us an email at podcast@howwerollgaming.com.
And we will see you next time when we discuss pre-written adventures, and we want to thank you all for listening or watching. If you do happen to be watching on YouTube, we will be a cliche right now and ask you to do all the YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, all that jazz,
Hit the
so
bell.
that yeah, the something about the bell for notifications, ding ding, whatever. Just do all the cliched YouTube stuff if you're watching us on YouTube.
Just gotta
But
click that.
until then, I have been Daryl,
I'm Nick.
And I'm still Robert.
and this is how we roll.